What's up, everyone? It is 2 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon, which means you're tuning in for Cannabis Legalization News, where we explain marijuana laws so you can change them. Today, we're just going to take a deep dive, a little short deep dive into the news of the week. Happy Veterans Day, Mickey, and all the veterans out there.
Yes, thank you for your service, Miggy. Tell us again which branch of the military were you a veteran of?
10 years in the Navy, bro.
10 years in the Navy. All right.
Good time.
And you're still working.
Well,
on Veterans Day, no less.
Well, you know, I like to say, well, because people say thank you for your service. I was in the Navy. You know, I was on a boat that was not as bad as getting shot at. But there's also the drug war veteran, right? I like to think that, you know, it's not just the military veterans, but it's also the civilian. Like when I was in the Navy, it was you fight for freedom, but you don't have freedom. And kind of the reason why I kind of got out, just so I could be involved with my kids' life and the world. So, yeah, here we are.
Speaking of that, you know, thanks for tuning in on this Veterans Day. Give us the likes and subscribes to get more cannabis legalization news. And in good double POW, not double veteran kind of, like you were mentioning, like, you know, so this guy was also a prisoner for cannabis, but also a veteran, an actual one like that. Yeah. Disabled veteran in Alabama released for medical marijuana possession. So disabled Iraqi veteran Sean Worsley is free, which is great. 10 months in Alabama jails for felony possession of medical marijuana, legal in his home state of Arizona.
He had the amount that I carry in my backpack now. Fucking ridiculous.
How much is that? Because this is probably about like a gram, but a lot of this is industrial hemp.
He had like under an ounce.
Okay. Under an ounce.
I mean, right now I got a quarter in my bag, but
yeah, legal possession limits.
Yeah,
10 months.
So we got some people were wondering about the show if this is going to be the actual legalization being voted on. Not right now, folks.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like that's what we're talking about. Congress is voting on the actual legalization next month, and so next month, this means in a lame duck session that they are going to go and vote on it, and it's fairly symbolic. It's really a symbolic act, and it's going to be a vote for the MORE Act, which is to decriminalize cannabis. And this is one of the new type of euphemisms that I'm quite fond of right now, by saying that the MORE Act is decriminalizing cannabis, when in fact the MORE Act, you know, totally removes marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act, so it's a full legalization.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Well, I just like using that phraseology, that the Marijuana Moment. Big shout out to them. We have 4 more stories from their reporting. But the MORE Act to decriminalize cannabis. And then that's going to be a symbolic vote because you have a lame duck session. And you know the Republican Senate's not going to do like nothing but wipe its ass with it. And then it'll be a new Congress will get sworn in. And then Trump will be escorted kicking and screaming from the White House. But
you know this could be a lame duck session. This is why Georgia's so important coming up in January.
Georgia is huge in January.
If we just get a whole Democrat, I mean, unfortunately, this is where we're at. The Republicans have proven that everything's gonna be fucking partisan. Everything's partisan.
I don't agree with that. If I could take the other side of that issue, yeah.
I just mean pushing.
It's not that partisan of an issue because, like,
it's not.
What is the Gallup poll in cannabis legalization news from this week? Gallup says 7 in 10 Americans support marijuana legalization. And if you hit the likes and the subscribes right now, you're going to be able to see, because we're going to do a drip of the biggest winner of election eve last week was, of course,
marijuana.
Marijuana was the biggest winner. And so we have 5 new states, and we're doing 5 reports how to open a dispensary or grow in whatever state won. So we're going to have those 5 that we're going to record here after the show here. And then so tune in, give us those likes and subscribes, and they will come up on your feed. But man, that's one of the cool things about this stuff we're going to be going over with the 5 states, and that stat that says 70% of Americans believe in cannabis legalization. These were states like Mississippi. These were states like Montana. These were states like South Dakota, not bastions of liberal, hippies. It's not Portland.
Yeah, but we say that, but as someone who's traveled the country, and I go into these states with trepidation and fear, for many reasons. And most of the time, it's not bad. As a matter of fact, there are 74 million people out there who are with us.
Yeah, that's right. And then that's right. And so somebody's asking, why it's asking, Congress is really going to vote on it. And once again, yes, That's right. Congress is going to be voting on this next month. House leadership announces. So that's great. And then now that we're sitting here getting toward the end of the year, what happens is how the government is funded. And Miggy, one of the things that we like to do on Cannabis Legalization News is bore people with legislative procedure. Do you know when the budget year ends for the federal government?
We should have like a porno music going on for this conversation, but no, I have no idea.
It's about September 30th. And so that's usually when a lot of deadlines come up and loom. And then the dreaded CR, the continuing resolutions. And some continuing resolutions are now coming up in the Senate bill because the Congress has the purse strings and sets the amount of monies at the federal level. And so because of how bad the USDA's farm regulations were for hemp, these senators are pushing back against the USDA rules, which so far have already been continued until the end of next budget year, FY 2021, September 30th of 2021. So now it looks like the funding might start pushing the Department of Agriculture to back the fuck off of hemp. Yes. And make that industry work like it has been. And it just looks like the 2014 Farm Bill may be kicked out until maybe even 2022. We'll have to see where we're at. But with a new Department of Agriculture in there to come up with new rules, the final rule might be out sometime next season. And it might be a much better understanding of the 0.3% Delta 9, if they really just read it as Delta 9 THC, or like 1% total THC, something closer to what they do in Vermont. You know, Bernie Sanders, the Department of Agriculture's head. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, here, how about this? Pretend world.
Pretend world.
2021.
Oh, yeah.
Biden won. Senate takes over. More act passes. Cannabis is descheduled. Well, how will that affect hemp? I mean, overall, this arbitrary number, can we redefine hemp as just being like hemp, the non-fun stuff? I mean,
well, that's one of the reasons why I think hemp should be defined like almost as a genetic, and so if you're doing it as a genetic and you have like a 20-to-1 ratio of THC to CBD, then it's like definitively proof that you're growing that not for the THC. And you can have those types of seeds that have a low enough amount of THC to not be psychoactive in and of themselves. But now people are saying like the CBG flower makes them feel good. Some people really like the Delta 8 isomers of hemp that's out there. And those are pretty fascinating. So that's another one of the pieces of content that we're going to have over at Cannabis Industry Lawyer. It won't be free, but it'll be long. Every state about like where you can ship, what their locality laws are, and then like if it's legal to ship everywhere with your hemp. So it should be fun.
This is why you guys are important. Again, the cannabis business lawyer.
Right.
This is going to be the new semantics for business. This is why you're necessary, because there is 160 pages or whatever. I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to go through that.
Well, not only that, they suck, and then not only that, they conflict. And so, like now, we have this patchwork of laws for hemp flower, and then sometimes for these hemp derivatives. But then you have the rule or the definition that says no, that's hemp. It's THC compliant. Sorry, and then it's going to be a really bright future. I hope. I just don't think we're going to get legal weed in the next 4 years. I could be wrong. I just don't think so.
If it's descheduled, though, at that point, though, we're not arresting people, right? There's no longer smells of crime.
That's right. Then you're going to have kind of what's going on at hemp. And so you're going to have lack of federal guidance. It won't be a schedule substance anymore. They're going to want their tax dollars. And so that's where the regulations are going to come in. But then, you get into supremacy clause arguments. So like right now, if I just took that pound of hemp and I, got an order for that pound of premium smokable hemp flower in Indianapolis. I hear that they've banned it, but then there's been some litigation about it. And so then I don't do the best job that I could have done mailing this to Indianapolis. I like, what's like the most smelly way I could do it? Like a paper envelope. I'm really just mailing this to get caught. And then if somebody gets arrested for it, sue them, say like, no, you're interfering with the interstate commerce of lawfully produced hemp. That was hemp, releases property. And also you're not allowed to arrest them,
Well, now you're talking about a commerce situation, but like say as somebody who just really likes it, and I carry, say, 20 pounds with me, and decide to travel cross country like I do to get my son in Minnesota, and I get pulled over in Idaho,
Right.
and now it's been rescheduled. Hypothetically, they can't arrest me, right? There is no
Well,
premise.
there's possession limits on THC cannabis, but there's no possession limits on hemp, as far as I'm aware.
But once cannabis itself gets rescheduled, won't it be a safe zone altogether?
The state laws will be the ones that are enforcing their stuff. So you'd still have state laws enforcing. And so that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm not the biggest fan of these possession limits of like an ounce and whatnot. I'm just not, I don't think that's the way to enforce that law. And it continues to make it somewhat a crime, and that's really what you're trying to avoid. Like, nobody's supposed to get arrested for weed. I thought we were very clear on this. Nobody gets arrested for weed.
I mean, that's exactly it, man. That's the whole point. Last time we were talking about this, and people were like, in the comments, like, you're going to put yourself out of business, or this is going to really, you know what? That's the whole point, right?
No, you won't put yourself out of business. You won't. I mean, like, are you kidding me? Like, the price of hemp flower is, you can grow it as much as you want. And if you want to buy it, you can buy it. Same thing with the regular weed. And so if you're going to be trying to like grow and sell weed, it's going to cost so much, and the price is already supporting that level that it's at now. Will it come down a little bit? But it could be like gas. It just stays $2.50 a gallon for like the next decade,
Well, I think the point they were trying to make was, because I'm mostly from the activist angle, I'm not selling anything. I'm not going to travel around, or I mean, I might. Who knows what happens at that time frame? But as soon as people stop going to jail, I don't have anything to talk about. It's kind of like when Trump's over. I don't have anything to talk about or get mad about.
Oh yeah, you should take up some hobbies.
But Mr. William Blanchard here, his son just got 6 years on an 18-year sentence, and he had his card.
Yeah.
I wonder what state that was in, but that
was in a shitty state. I'll tell you that much.
Guaranteed.
And I shouldn't be cursing on the air. We're finally back, and then just start cursing on the air and taunting the police. Don't taunt the police, but just remind the police that they really shouldn't be enforcing cannabis laws, because there shouldn't be them. I mean, like, it should be like not paying your taxes. The IRS comes in. It's like, shit.
Yeah,
that's what I get.
Give me an audit.
You gave me an audit, or like, hey, you're not allowed to use that ingredient in your crop. Those PGRs or whatever you use that is deemed gross. That's fine. I don't mind like testing the plant and taxing the plant, but don't arrest people for it.
Yeah, it's people in commerce that should be held accountable for regulation, not consumers.
Yeah, there's all sorts of policy issues on that, and then like the new drug that's coming out from, which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious that the corona vaccine was announced the Monday after the election, and like I could just see Trump being like, "Oh, real helpful." Thanks. If this would have been last week, that might have swung the election. Shit, if they dropped the vaccine the Monday before the election.
Yeah, it could have. But big picture, that thing is still going to be 8 months for public.
Oh yeah, but I mean, think about they're going to start, if they get this thing mainlined, they could start shipping doses next month. And so if they start shipping doses next month to all the essential workers, all the people that need it, you're just going to see the numbers keep going down then. And so like eventually you get those guys vaccinated, and that starts crashing the numbers. Yeah. And then by spring, it could just be normal.
But yeah, I mean, but right now too, I don't know if you're aware that I was watching the interview with the Pfizer guy, the president, whatever, and he was saying how 25 million are they going to be able to make at the end of the year? But this is 25 million for the world, not just America, right? Like,
well, yeah, but to be fair, like, I mean, I understand that, but then also the world is mostly coronavirus infections in America, just because we did such a crackerjack job of keeping a lid on it. It's.
Yeah. I mean, it's our enduring leadership, I think, right? Our super spreader fucking.
Well, it's the federalism. That's the problem. There was a power vacuum and like no lead direction from. It's like, well, this is your job. No, it's your job. No, it's your job. States' rights. Hey, we need federal guidance because it affects all of us. That's what we have these interstate commerce things and regulations for.
It doesn't help when our president is the outbreak monkey. I'm just saying.
It doesn't help. Yeah, that's right. That's right. President Trump being president was not helpful when the coronavirus came out. But it's going to be helpful that he's gone now. And that's because that's going to be helpful for the USDA head. the guy that all the senators were like saying like, hey, don't do that with the continuing resolution. So now they get to use the power of money. Congress does, and that's where you have the government shutdown and stuff like that. And that's how a lot of cannabis reform has actually happened in the past. So we might still see some cannabis reform before the end of the year. Maybe they'll slip the Safe Banking Act in there. Maybe they'll slip because then they have like those little sections in the budget, those little defunding sections in the budget. Maybe they'll slip just all state cannabis and hemp laws, something like that. So like if there's a state hemp law, that's who's going to be enforcing that hemp law. If there's a state marijuana law, that's going to be who's enforcing the marijuana law. That would be the tits.
Oh, that would be definitely. I definitely think there's going to be a huge positive for cannabis, the industry itself. You know, if anything, the industry itself is going to receive a lot of the benefits, right? Because they're producing and creating that tax revenue. It's all about money, no matter what. You know, with lobbyists and whatnot. So next year, the Safe Banking Act would be great if less places got robbed.
Great, you know. If there was like a credit card transaction that you could do and get a bank account, I mean, still like they're going to, because the Safe Banking Act doesn't remove the problem. So you still have to do the IRS 280E two-step, which means that you're going to have like all these related entity companies that are all holding the various licenses and pushing money between one another so that they know that they're going to get audited, but still had to avoid that tax. But
a pot shop could then run like a liquor store. You know, for a bad reference, because I mean they're two different animals, but you know they can actually, you know, take credit and they'll get robbed just as often as a liquor store, for lack of a better reference.
Well, it depends. Like very often the robberies depend on your zip code. So, yeah, but then like that's the other cool thing that we had from cannabis legalization news this past week. With every state that passed, like 3 of them were fairly Trump heavy, like 60, 55% plus for Trump. And then they still passed cannabis to legalize it either medically by a lot. Like Mississippi, I think they passed it by like 70-30. In South Dakota, like again, very red state, it was not even really close. Like the medical was like 70 to 80%, and then the rec was like 57, 58%. So then it's not just those red states. I mean, there's some stuff out of Texas. Texas lawmaker files some Texas lawmakers pre-file bills for marijuana. So voting to legalize marijuana in some form is one of the pieces of legislation that is on the docket for next year in Texas. That's when we should try to get Senator-elect Roland Gutierrez, who is as SB 140. We should try to get Senator Gutierrez on the show to discuss SB 140. So let's and now look, here he is on Twitter. Okay, so I'll just go tweet at him. That's how the internet works, right? I can just say, "What's up?" And
that's how I got Danny.
What's up?
That's how I got Danny on the show.
We talk about Danny
Danko.
Oh shit, yeah.
That's how I got him on the show. I just PM'd him on the goddamn Twitter. I was like, "Oh shit!" He replied.
No, oh cool, yeah. That's how you sometimes get guests on cannabis legalization news. You're like, man, that guy just put in a bill to legalize it in Texas. Oh shit, we should have him on the show.
I mean, he's going to have a great perspective about just, and you know, Texas came so close this year. It was a split state,
like how that was way closer. So like, if it's that close for the presidential election, yeah, I could see them getting like 50-60% support for marijuana legalization.
Easy. You know, and I just think, I hate thinking in terms of left and right, you know, like, why is the term progressive dirty? Doesn't progress mean going forward for everybody?
You went too far. We have to go back to how it was when we were kids. Don't show us how things were great when you were a kid.
I don't know, you know, just yeah. When everybody took care of shit for me, sure, that was nice.
What was on the agenda today? I go to school and then I have playtime. Yeah.
God, only if. Now, I mean, that sounds like Trump's schedule right now too, but
yeah,
mostly playtime.
Yeah, and then this is another type of license that will actually hopefully come back. Token bars, some people to chill out at the lounge and smoke with. Right on, brah. And like, you know, the problem is right now you got the Rona. And so that's keeping it away. But if you know, check out the Detroit legacy licenses, there's some consumption lounge licenses that's going to come up and get in play. And me and a couple of people are working on some product for helping entrepreneurs get into the Detroit legacy market. And so the consumption lounges, 35 of them, for example, in Detroit. There's 35 cool places to light up with other like-minded people and not get in a bar fight.
No, the Rona is definitely a factor right now because I don't know. Are you familiar with the Northwest Cannabis Club that was in Oregon?
No.
So they had a really great facility there. It's a 2-story dab bars downstairs, upstairs, and you can smoke joints in the backyard. Nice wooden covered area. Anyways, this place is now going out of business. They've been around for about 5 years, and because of COVID pandemic, yeah. And then, so on the other side of that, Oklahoma, our favorite state for legalization, they haven't taken it serious, and they've been having all these sessions and all these secret hangouts, and they're having a spike right now.
Oh, everybody's having a spike right now. There's like over 130,000 cases yesterday. Illinois was like over 10,000 of them, you know? So I'm just sitting there looking at like a trip to Chicago, like,
No,
don't know about that.
Definitely be careful. You know, we still got another year, I think, of this shit.
That's again, like, you know, if we wanted to, we could do some real nerdy math with charts, and then you could see as you are introducing those amounts of doses that you know are 90% effective into the population, what that would do to their numbers. And so, you know, as you're moving those doses and into the right places, you know, the people that would be most likely to be a super spreader, your post people or your people in restaurants, you know, those types. If you're an essential worker and you're going to be coming into contact with people on the regular for your job, you get the vaccine first. You know, if you're like me, a hermit that works on the internet while I read books and stuff and send demand letters and emails, and
you know, it just feels like sometimes though with these states that aren't taking it as serious, it's like the guy who does all the homework and then the next day you come in and everybody else copies off of you. That's
right.
That's what it feels like. I mean, we're all gonna catch up. We're all gonna get there eventually, but we got one of our Don Caldwell says that the Pennsylvania GOP introduced SB 1360 to remove patient protection rights for employment. Oh, that is not cool, man.
That's right. So you're going to still be an activist for a while, Miggy, because for as long as you've been alive, there's been a prejudice against this plant, and I'm not sure how much longer you have to live.
You know why? But you know, we're so much further, dude. You know, when I used to travel as a technician, and you talk to guys behind the scenes, and this guy was like, yeah, you know, back in my day, I used to be a part of normal and shit. And people get discouraged, understandably, you know, when the bad guys win. But we're getting there. There's 74 million good people who give a fuck. God damn it.
So many. And I think the coronavirus is actually going to be the something that speeds this up, because now you've caused such a massive amount of loss at the at a certain level of the local economy. Like, you know, the people that actually had to close their doors, like the waiters and waitresses, you know, or the people that are actually in the arts or the events, all those types of people are hurting now. And the sky doesn't fall when you pass cannabis. Cannabis is 70% approval rating. If cannabis easily passes at the polls, cannabis might be able to make you guys some money and then create a new type of economy at a localized level. And with that, you know, let's kind of like right now we can dig into this, but first we're going to wrap this up, and then we might come back and do one of these ones live. I'm not sure which one. Which one should we try to dive into? Arizona, Mississippi, New Jersey, South Dakota, or Montana? Let's ask the audience. We can ask the audience that. We have an audience right now. Yeah. Which one do you guys want to hear about first? Montana, Mississippi, New Jersey, or Arizona? There's one more that I'm missing.
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Now we're getting the music. Dun, 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 dun,
Arthur Neal, South Dakota, and Hams, 710.
Oh, wow.
All right, so we're doing South Dakota. And,
that's it.
We're going to kind of wrap up then for this week, cannabis legalization news, and come back with a report on South Dakota.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to keep up with all cannabis legalization news. And you definitely want to hit that notification bell, because we are going to drip out these state-specific cannabis initiatives. So subscribe. States. Yeah, 5 states. So subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you tomorrow, basically. Later.
Hey.